Hello guys, welcome to the 90th lesson in this VueJS course. And in this lesson, we're going to be looking at the Vue Router. Now, so far in this course, we've only been working on one route, which is basically the home page. Despite the fact that in our header and footer, we have links to different and multiple pages, but we've only so far been working on a single page with a single route. And in this lesson, we're going to dive deeper into the app we're working towards building, which is our recipe app, and we're going to look at Vue Router and how it works and the essential things you need to know as a Vue developer. So let's take a brief look again at how a Vue website works and how the Vue Router actually handles things. First, you have your client with your browser. Whenever you make a request, the initial page request to a server, what happens is the server sends back an empty HTML page, which we've seen so far in the course. And then once that happens, Vue takes over, and the Vue JavaScript bundles basically inject the necessary component based on the route. So let's say you're on the home page, the Vue router actually injects the home page component into the HTML page, and that is what we see. And let's say you go to a page such as the about page, the Vue router takes away the home page component and injects the about page component, so that's what we see and view on our screen. And this is essentially the framework or the concept and mechanism in which the Vue router actually works. So without any further ado, let's get down into it and let's create a new app using and implementing Vue routing. Okay, so I'm back here inside of the folder I created specifically for this course, and where we actually created the two app we created earlier in the beginning of the course. Now I'm going to come here and open my command prompt, and what I'm basically going to do is use the Vue CLI to create a new app. So I'm going to say Vue create food mode. This is going to be the name of our final app, the app we're working towards building, which is the recipe app I showed you earlier in this course. So let's click on enter. Okay, so we have pick a preset. I'm going to manually select features, and the first thing I want to select is the router, and then secondly Vuex, which is basically a state management library similar to something such as Redux and so on. Okay, I'm going to select Vuex, which is basically for managing our state, and we're going to look at that later on in the course. So I think it would be a good thing for us to actually select that right now. So we've selected the necessary things. I'm going to press enter, and we're going to choose the version 3. And now here at this particular point, use history mode for router. I'm going to select yes, because if you don't do that, if you select no instead, you're going to have hash route. Okay, so I'm going to say yes, and or enter, and then in dedicated config files yes, and save this as a preset no. Okay, so our Vue CLI is going to create our app. And our app has been created. Okay, so I'm going to cd into food mode, and I'm going to open with Visual Studio Code. Okay, so we have the app open up here in Visual Studio Code, and quickly I'm going to clear the command line and I'm going to run npm run serve. Okay, and while the app local development server is starting, the first thing I want to show you is some changes that have happened in our application. Okay, so if I should come here to src, you're going to notice a brand new folder which is views, and if you come to main.js, you're going to notice a bit of differences or some differences also. Okay, you're going to notice we have router, we have store. Now we don't need to concern ourselves with this store yet, and but what I wanted to show you is we have a router file right here, and if you come here you see router and then index.js. Okay, So let's see what exactly are the changes that we have right here. Okay, so I'm basically going to come here into my browser and I'm going to come to localhost and 8080. Okay, now we're going to see some changes. We have home page right here, and then we have the about. If I should click here, you see it brings out this is an about page. Okay, home and about, and we can see how seamless and how fast that actually the rendering was, the changing of the route or the pages. Okay, so let's come into our Visual Studio Code and let's look at what exactly is happening. Okay, the first thing here is inside our router. Okay, and or rather let's first take a look at our app.vue. Now inside our app.vue we can see some things right here. We have the nav, okay, which is basically rendering this that we have here. Okay, so that's the nav, and then we have the router view, and inside of the nav we have router link. Now this is automatically provided to us by Vue, so as for navigation or for routing. And then this router view basically contains everything inside of, basically renders all of the router views that we have. Now this is provided by the router configuration, which is right here. So basically this router view renders, okay, all of the routes that we have here, and inside of this route we can see that we have the path. We have an array of objects which contains the path, we have the name, and then we have the component. Okay, and same way we have for the slash about, and then we have the name which is about, and then we have the component right here. Now this component, they are imported from views slash home view.view, and that is, if we come here we have home view and which renders this, and then we have the about view which renders this. So that is to say that I can create another view and say contact view, okay, dot view, and we can just generate our view file easily. Okay, so I'm basically going to come here and, okay, let's add our HTML, and we can say, okay, this is contact page. So once we save that, and then I can have maybe name and put contact view. Okay, and right inside of the router I can come here, and there are two methods. You can either decide to import the components this way, or you can just use this lazy load, okay, which is basically what I'm going to do. I'm just going to duplicate this. Okay, sorry, let me add a comma here and just duplicate. All right, and I'm going to say, okay, slash forward slash contact, and right here the name is going to be contact, and inside here I'm going to just change this to contact view. Okay, let's save that. Okay, but we still wouldn't see it right here. So the way to actually do it is make it visible, and right here inside of the app.view I'm going to add another, okay, I'm going to add another router link. Okay, and this is basically going to say contact, and this is going to be forward slash contact. Okay, let's save that and let's see what we have. And if I should come here, we should see, let's refresh this. Okay, we see home, about, and contact. So if I should click on the about, we see it here, and if I should click on the contact, we see this is a contact page, and this is the basics of how routing works in Vue. Okay, so we can see, once again, let's go over it. We can see, okay, inside of our router configuration file, which is where we configure everything. Whenever you automatically select the Vue router should be installed along with your app, it creates all of these configuration, so you don't have to set it up from scratch. And we can see we just have to specify the path, the name, and the components inside of an object right here. And once you do that, everything essentially works as we can see. Now you might be asking, what about the regular anchor tag in HTML? So let's try using these, and let's come to contact, and I'm going to say / contact. All right, let's see what that actually give us. Contact um, anchor. Okay, so I'm going to name it that way, so not to be confusing. Now let's refresh. Okay, now whenever we click on this is not being, the view is not handling this is automatically being refreshed. And I'm going to give us an example. Now whenever we click on the about, we can see that there isn't any page refresh, but whenever we click on this anchor, we can see there is, even if it's briefly, there is a page refresh. Now we can demo that by using a very important and useful developer tool. So I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to say web developer tools, and what I'm going to basically do is come to network. Now whenever we come to home page and about page, we are not making any new network request. But what about if we should click on this other one, and we click on this, we can see that we have to make a bunch of requests again to the server. So we are making a bunch of fresh requests right here to the server, as we can see. But whenever we click on maybe the about page, we are not making any fresh requests. Okay, so let me clear it again to demo. And when we click on this, we are not making any fresh requests. Okay, we are having some error here, but that will be fixed later. Okay, we are not making any fresh requests, but whenever we click on this one, which is making use of the anchor tag, we see that we are making bunch of fresh requests, reloading from the server again. So that is the difference, essentially the difference. So whenever we make use of this router link, Vue automatically knows that, oh, I'm going to intercept this particular route, and I'm going to render the necessary components, the necessary things onto the page, onto the screen. Now let's take a look at one other thing. You might wonder that, is it only in these nav elements, this nav tag, that we can make use of this router link? But the short answer to that is no. You can basically call this or make use of this anywhere. So let's copy this, and inside of this contact view, what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to say home, go back home, and I'm going to say to / and let's save that, and we're going to come to the contact page right here, and we can see this particular link. So if I should click on go back home, we see it brought us back here, and about, home, and contact, everything still works fine. And finally, one thing I also want to actually show us before we move to the next thing is we can actually bind this. Okay, instead of, let's say, the way we have right here inside of our route, specifying, instead of specifying the exact path name, now let's say inside of our router file we change maybe this particular path, change from / about to about, or about us. Yeah, let's use that to about us, and let's come here. We still have to / about. Now what happens if we should, let me refresh to be sure that all changes have caught on. And what if we click on this about? Okay, nothing is being rendered at the moment. Let's refresh that, because Vue does not know what to render. Right here in the Vue configuration file, the router configuration file, this has been changed to / about us, and this router link is still trying to point to this about page. So a better way to actually always show this particular, or to actually write your router links, is by using, I'm going to bind these two attributes right here, and what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to have an object, and the object is basically going to specify the route name. So I'm going to say the name is going to be equal to, let's see, about. Okay, so the name is about, and then let's paste that in, and let's come back here. So if I should come here to home, and I'm going to refresh that, we see that this is going to render about us. So let's inspect, and let's see what we actually have. So right here we see it's rendering the right link, which is / about us. So if I should come and I should, let's say in my router configuration file, I change it to about our company, and I should save that, we should see that actually being rendered. Okay, and if I should inspect, we see about our company right here. So a better way to do that is to make sure that you are using this method instead of this. So I'm going to update each and every one of our routes link, and let's do this. So that should be an object, and then the name should be contact, and same with this. So we're going to have this our column in front, and we're basically going to have this here, and the name is going to be home. So now we are totally sure that no matter the changes we make to our router configuration file, this still shows and render the right link right there in the page. So let's save that and let's give it a whirl, and I'm going to refresh that. Okay, and then we see we have home, about our company, and if I should change that back to what we have previously, which is about, and I save that. Okay, for some reason this is not automatically reloading, but not to worry, we'll fix that, and I'm going to refresh that. Okay, so we see home, about, and contact. Now another thing I want to show you is when you click on each of these routes, we can see that we're having some styling indicating, okay, which page is active, which particular route is active, and how is that possible. Now I'm going to inspect here, and we're going to see one interesting thing that Vue actually helps us with. Now if I should inspect this here, we can see any active route right here, it's going to add the class of router link active. Okay, if I should come right here to the about, we are going to see that inside of the elements being rendered, it's adding this class is also router link active and router link exact active. And if I should come here also, we can see it's rendering the same thing right here. So that is how Vue actually help us, so that we can know which page is active, and we can come right here and actually add a specific CSS styling for it. So instead of doing this, I can make the background, okay, make the background this, and then the color should be FFF. Okay, let's save that, and I'm going to add a padding of 20 pixels. No, 20 pixels is a bit much, so let's add 5 pixels, I mean. So I'm going to come back right here and let's refresh our app. Now we're going to see that any active page right here, any active route, it's going to have this. All right, so we can see that is working fine. So this is another thing that the Vue router and Vue actually takes care of for us. All right, so we've come to the end of this lesson, and in the next lesson we are going to look more in depth into the Vue router and how to actually work with dynamic links and dynamic routes, and I'm going to see you there.